Good morning, Panther fans. Timmy VO here with the Panther Comms podcast. This is going to be a Tuesday version of the Man in the Box. So let's break down the box score. Obviously, a lot of you guys were watching it last night. Shout out to those who made it down to Charlotte and made it home safely. You guys really brought it there for the first half. I mean, it is what it is, folks. It is what it is. You know, we all had high expectations going into this game, simply because we didn't have as many injuries as we did when we left this game. So, speedy recovery to Shaq, um, and obviously speedy recovery to JC and the rest of these cats. Man, it's wow. And a shout out to the defense for holding it down like they did, even though they didn't have Shaq. Louisville really stepped up. That's not surprising at all. But yeah, let's get to the box score. So obviously, we got killed in total plays, which translated to total yards. Obviously, our penalties weren't too significant. Again, the timing of these penalties, i.e., when what was that? Mays, I think, had a false start, and we were trying to get a first down on that particular down, and we had to readjust due to that. But yeah, it's so the penalties happen. Obviously, I would like to see less. Unfortunately, again, this is what happens when you have to shuffle around due to injuries. Speedy recovery to Brady Christensen. We'll see how that goes. So turnovers were even killed. That's good. That's good. We only had one turnover this game as opposed to two picks last game. And this pick was really unfortunate considering, Bryce was trying to was trying to make a play, and he can say what he wants about the transition from college to pro. People have been saying this from day one, right? The speed of the NFL is completely different, right? You have the best of the best. These guys can fly. Everybody can run. Okay, so and you notice Bryce kind of when he made up his mind to run, he ran, right? He can do his thing. He's so concentrated on passing the football that it kind of hampers his ability to think like, hey, I need to get the hell up out of here. So kudos to him for actually after losing the fumble on that scramble, he was like, you know what? When I'm tucking a run, I'm tucking a run, and we see he can do that efficiently. Third down efficiency. Of course, they had three more conversions than we did. Not a good thing. The fourth down was critical, and I appreciate offense executing on that. So, passing yards. Well, we held the Saints to 207, even though they were tossing rock all over the place. We held them to 207, and once again, we have less than 200 yards passing. I don't. This is not the quarterback, folks. This is scheme, and this is execution in terms of receivers getting open. And that offensive line, again, had to reshuffle, and they had problems with protection. I'm not quite sure if Mays got injured, and that's why he didn't finish the game. But yeah, hey, this is what happens, right? We were the only team with a passing touchdown. Let that sink in. We barely scratched 100 yards rushing, and that's overall attempts and overall yards, right? It seemed like the Saints were running the ball all over us, especially with Hill, but they only had 34 yards more rushing than we did with 14 more attempts. So, rushing touchdown, they had two, we had none, which tells you how close we got to the red zone. And when we did, we threw the football. We couldn't get a push up front, and that was obvious too, in short distance. So time of possession, they had the ball a little over 5 minutes more than we did. Obviously, they had 9 more first downs, which hurt us significantly. They had 4 rushing first downs. We had 4 rushing first downs and 8 passing to their 11 and 10. That's an extremely balanced offense, folks. 11 passing first downs and 10 rushing first downs. When it was time to move the sticks, they moved the sticks on us, and that's why we took an L. Yeah. So let's look at our individual stats real quick. Chuba's still balling, yo. I don't know why. I don't know why we didn't stick with the run. We were not in a position until the fourth quarter where we just had to just throw the football. I don't understand why we didn't run the football like we did. Oh yeah, that's right, because we couldn't get a push up front. The only area we got to push in terms of run game was the left side, and that's because of Icky, right? It is what it is, man. Someone needs to explain to me why Chenault is not getting the ball. Someone needs to explain that to me ASAP. Chenault is a weapon, right? Chenault can be our CMC in terms of giving people a different look and making the defense, focus on him, and then we go the opposite direction. Chenault is a weapon, and we're not using him efficiently. That worries me. If you look at the passing segment there, Chenault doesn't even show up. What the hell? Now, we were trying to feed it to Thielen, and the defense started doubling and putting extra coverage towards his side or wherever he went. So we had to force it to Mingo a lot. Mingo had one drop that could have been a first down that I can remember off the top of my head. Bryce had a couple of deep throws that were that was just bad throws. The Saints did a good job again covering our receivers, which is no surprise considering nobody can get open. So it is what it is. Thielen had 7 targets, but only had 54 yards. Shark had 1 catch for 15 yards. It's good to see him out there. It's good to see that he finished the game out there, so that was a good thing. Hurst 3 for 20. Sanders, coming out the backfield only had, he had 3 receptions for 1.3. It's not going to cut it, folks. Is it scheme? Is it execution? It's both. It's both. It's both, obviously. I just want to touch on the Saints offense real quick because that will translate to our defense. Carr, 228 with a pick and no touchdowns. Oddly enough, our pass defense did their job. Oddly enough. And see rushing attempts. Hill again. He was getting 8 yards a clip. I mean, whew. See Jones. That little son of a gun that came up from the practice squad, ladies and gentlemen. Even though he had a very low average, he got 2 touchdowns on us, or 1 touchdown, 1 or 2. And then Williams, obviously, So their average rushing yards outside of Hill was it was corralled. They didn't go crazy on us. And the receiving, obviously, the Olave. Oh my gosh, and especially that catch he got on CJ, and CJ Henderson is CJ Henderson. It blows my mind. One, that CJ didn't respect that kid's speed. Everybody knows how fast that dude is. But the second thing is on that long pass, pass reception with the one hand catch corral type of situation. CJ had his arm. He had his arm, then he let go. I mean, as soon as that hand touched that ball, CJ should have just been aggressive as hell. But he just threw his hands up like, I didn't touch him, while watching dude catch the football. Like, bro. He was more worried about the penalty than the reception. And come on, man. And Rashid, 4 catches. Thomas had 7 catches. Even with all these receptions, they didn't have a receiving touchdown. I don't even know who we're playing next. All I know is we have some significant injuries, and we have got to get our run game in order. Because, focusing on Bryce the way we are, I mean, Coach, we have got to run the football. We've got to get Chenault involved. Okay? We have got to be more, I guess you could say more creative with our lineups, with our motions, with everything. Ian Thomas didn't even have a target in that game. We have a lot of weapons that we need to utilize, and I don't know why Coach is not doing it. Coach Reich said he wants to keep calling plays. Well, that's fine. We need to see results, Coach. Now, I will say there's one positive thing about this whole situation right now, and I think folks are really missing this. We are scoring points in the third quarter. Ain't that nice? I know, right? It's the little things of life. Well, Panther fans, I'll see you guys on Saturday, Sunday, something like that. Man, I'll try to get Dave and I to record a podcast and talk about things because Lord knows we need to talk about it. Y'all keep out of here.